So just very quickly, so my client that I kicked off with last week um, is a cosmetic clinic. Um, do I have theirs up? So originally before I actually did the session with them, they obviously sent back their questionnaire. So they've got a couple of doctors that provide treatments, and I was going to use this. This is a standard tool that I've shared with you. It's in the training where you list down the different either tradespeople or in this case doctors. What their hourly rate is, what their billable how many hours a week is billable, and so on. And I had this prepared to start working with them on to help understand, what the different options were to increase profitability, and so on. Okay. But then after going through their financials, so I'll flick back over to their financials. So after going through their numbers, after going through the session with them and understanding their business, they actually have, it's a cosmetic clinic. I won't mention too much about where they are, but they have a fixed location, plus they offer treatments interstate and they book out these places and then they'll fly there and do an intense week of treatments. Okay. And so their current financials, and I've taken out the details. So I looked at 3 years of financials, and it's obviously you can see here it's extremely up and down. They've had a big shift in the last year where they're making money now. And what I decided was instead of going to this, I'll close Rinku's. Instead of going through this, my standard sort of model, I decided to build something else which showed three different scenarios. One of their current situation, one if they double their interstate business plus double their core business, which was the aim that we discussed. And it was quite easy. Like they've got the capacity to do it. Obviously, we need to get the marketing happening. And then third scenario was quadruple their interstate business because it's only fairly fledgling, but only continue with the doubling of the core business. And so what I did was they had all these assumptions. They shared with me some assumptions around the value of the treatments, how many treatments per week there were, and so on, and what the costs of these interstate trips were. And so then I split this into the interstate treatments and the core business, their fixed business. And if I just look at the core business, and plus I also did some adjustments. So they used to have two locations. They now only have one location, so their rent dropped from what their historical is. So I adjusted for that. Plus they've got family members who are working in the business, effectively one full-time person across two different family members, but they weren't paying them. So I actually increased, so I put in a nominal amount there for wages. Plus they want to be able to pay the doctors 35% of the income. Okay. And that's particularly because for their expansion to state, they want to use contract doctors and they're looking for a percentage of fee that they want to share with them to make it attractive. So, and they hadn't been paying themselves that. So for this base case, I added in a 35% doctor fee and also a 30 for both the interstate work and the core business. All right. So I suppose why I'm sharing this is because, especially with a new client, now a lot of you are doing this with existing clients. You'll start doing this with existing clients where you already understand the business. But even in those cases, it's possibly worthwhile to re-represent this. The other thing I did was all of these, there was nothing in cost of goods sold. So I basically moved these, I dumped it out of zero, and I moved these into a cost of goods sold category so I can have a bit of an idea of what sort of, how their profit on the service itself, how that was tracking over the last 3 years, just to get a bit of an idea. But I suppose it's just an example of firstly recutting the existing to understand what's happening in the business, possibly across different service areas, different locations, different team members, whatever it might be. And then looking at a simple scenario. So in this case, it was doubling the treatment at their core location, and then um, this one here, how many interstate trips they would make per year, doubling it and then doubling it again, which is the different scenarios we were looking at, and how this would flow through to their profitability. Now, their automatic thinking was that should we even close the core, like our location, because it's not profitable? They had in mind that they're making a lot of money from their interstate visits and business. But by doing this, it showed me that they've got the capacity to increase the revenue in their core business, and that business would be far more profitable. And also just remember that all of the costs of running the business I've just absorbed into this core business, so accounting fees and just insurances, all that sort of stuff. Uh, so this business is, and I'm yet to go through this with them. I've got a meeting with them next week, but I think it highlights that there's a lot more potential in their current location, their fixed location, than they think there is. They haven't done any marketing to their past clients. They've got this massive database. They don't do any email marketing, no offers. So they've got all this potential for growing the current business. And the interstate business, sure, it's profitable and it's scalable, but it's not going to add as much to their bottom line as they probably thought it would. Now, when they look at this, they might decide that, okay, paying a doctor 35% is too much. This is the amount based on those assumptions. This is how much a doctor will earn per day from a contract doctor. They said normally they can earn 2,000 a day. They want to be able to, like for a normal GP, they want to be able to incentivize them to earn a lot more so they come and work for them instead. But this might be too much. We might decide to scale it back to 30%, for example. So they're looking for this model that they can use to scale the business, to get other people on board so they don't have to do the work themselves. So I thought it was a worthwhile one just to share with you the type of how I go about this sort of financial analysis, and it can be different for each type of business. I've never worked with a cosmetic business before. So for me, it was a lot of asking dumb questions, learning, but extracting this sort of information to understand what's driving the business, the profitability, the pricing, and then how we can use that information to run some scenarios. Okay, so that was a quick little mini case study. Any questions or comments?
And now, if you don't mind, I'm just looking at the overhead section that you had there, and you said, "Oh, they do very little marketing and advertising."
They do very little marketing to their existing customers.
Yeah.
They're spending a ton of money on
Yeah.
on Facebook advertising to new customers. Okay,
Right.
so and they shared with me, but that's a good pickup, Sultan. They shared with me so I asked them to share with me their marketing stats. So their agency put together a summary of all of the leads they've generated by city, by month. And I've got that separately, which I won't bring up.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, and the cost per lead is, I calculated their cost per lead, I calculated their cost per patient, and different cities differ. But you're right, that they are spending a ton of money on marketing to new business, but they're doing nothing, and it's basically to be not free. There's obviously an effort to market to existing customers or past customers, but they currently get, so out of their total business, 20% is from repeat business and 80% is from new customers.
Yeah. Yeah.
All these past customers with cosmetic treatments, they need to come back regularly, and they're just not doing anything to get them to come back. So they're not rebooking them, they're not remarketing to them, they're not doing anything. So they're just sort of waiting for them to just ring on their own. So I think there's gold there for their existing business. That's why I'm bullish for their existing business. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the other comment I'd make is that I can see that you've basically treated all the operating costs as fixed, irrespective of the size of the business.
What I did was I doubled the support staff
Oh,
costs.
yeah, okay.
Okay, so as they scale, as they double their business, and I might need to increase that more. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
And
But
the
but
advertising and
I did put in
marketing,
some additional support costs.
the
but
marketing might need to be increased as well.
that's right. Mm.
Well, the marketing's captured for the expansion interstate.
Ah,
The
yeah.
way it's done was that it's a per patient rate
Mm,
that they've worked out, and based on their numbers, it's actually a bit less than 250 per patient
yeah,
that they book in.
yeah.
Um, this marketing, I don't think this marketing. I think this is conservative because a lot of this is for interstate. I just left it. I left it in there. Plus, I added in marketing
Yeah, okay.
up here. Um,
Mm,
yeah, I think they can get more from their marketing here, so I didn't
mm,
really increase that. Or it would substitute for more email type marketing, which is yeah, there's no real. I mean, there's cost to actually get someone either internally or externally to do the email marketing, but there's no real cost to send emails itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yes. No, good pickups, guys. Yeah. Um, And they're doing okay at the moment. It's doctor fees 350 there plus 44 there across two doctors, one of which only works 2 days a week. Um, and they can definitely, yeah, they can definitely be earning a lot more out of this business. Um, but yeah, no, it was a good exercise just for me to understand the business. And then, I did put in some extra effort to build this. But I'm pretty confident they're going to be ongoing clients. So, they've got some good goals. So it was worth, in my mind, it was worth it for me to do this, even though they only purchased like if I go back to our packages here, um,
Neil, do you do a bit of work like looking at their marketing and cost per
yes,
acquisition, all of that sort
yes.
of stuff? Or is that sort of something you would typically say that the marketing agency would do?
The marketing agency should do.
Mm,
And so I asked for them to send me reports. So they
mm,
meet with their marketing agency every fortnight because they're obviously
yeah,
spending quite a bit. Um, but I'd still review that. I treat that as a KPI, like any KPIs, whether they're
yeah,
generating them internally or externally through an agency or a consultant or someone like that. I'd like to have a look at.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because
so
someone needs to hold them accountable. I've seen some of those marketing agencies that, yeah, they people spend bucket loads on them and often don't even
oh
break even
yeah,
on it.
but I could tell, I was quizzing one of the doctors who it's a family business as well. So
Yeah,
the younger guy is the one who deals with the marketing side of the business and with the agency. And I did quiz him pretty hard on what how he's refined his marketing over the years. So I'm pretty
mm,
confident he's across it and that he's pretty happy. He's used other agencies in the past that he hasn't been happy with. I could tell that he was, fairly switched on and he'd done the work to help refine or work with the agency to make sure they were refining what was working. So they only just signed up to this one, which was this, it was all done online. I put in more work than I would normally, but that's because I know, well, I'm pretty confident that they're going to continue with a coaching package afterwards. Plus, I want to do the right thing. If I feel that it warrants, for me to properly understand what's going on and to give them proper direction, if I need to do some extra work for that, I'll do that.
mm.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Just thought I'd just share that as an example, I suppose, of the type of thing that we can do without being marketing experts or sales experts. It's so much in the numbers that accountants can be doing to help. And then actually, I'll just share. the other big output, which was really this one-page plan, which is very simple. But this is a standard one. Well, this is my version, but it's basically the same as the template that I've shared with you. And you can see there's not a lot filled out here. They've got a big goal here to sell the business for 20 mil in 10 years. They may not appreciate how valuations work, or I might not understand how these businesses are valued. But to get a 20 mil sale, they obviously need to be making, at least 10 mil of profit, or at least 5 mil of profit, let's say, normally. But who knows? Cosmetic businesses may be valued differently. But it's good that they've got a goal. So a lot of these things we haven't filled out. But then it was really just taking the conversation, and just after the meeting, I did this. Just take that and effectively summarize it into this. Just map out what we discussed into these. Really these three boxes. 3-year goals, 12-month goals, working out what their priorities are for this next 3 months. Email marketing, testing marketing to increase the number of interstate visits. They want to introduce some different tweaks in their treatments. They've got an internal. Their current family members do the bookkeeping. They really need to go external because it's not up to date. It's not like the balance sheet's a mess. So it wasn't a lot for the next 3 months, but enough to. Enough to make progress towards this. And when we have our meeting next week and we go through this, there may be additional things they want to add. But I don't want to put on too much onto the plan either, because they could get overwhelmed. Mm. So it's very simple. And it's just amazing how much value you can add, because it's all forward looking. It's all about growth. It's all about helping them achieve what they want to, going into the future.
Mm. Yeah. I better run, Anil.
Yeah, no. That's all I wanted to cover off.
Yeah.
So, thanks everyone. See, Alex. Anyone else? Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
A quick question. I wanted to know the sequence of this cosmetic clinic case. So you might have got lead from somewhere, not interested in that, but then you had a meeting, and in that meeting you completed that Excel worksheet of goals, plans, what they want, everything, and then you must have got their access to the software.
So this is my steps, and there is a. So if I just share my screen again. In the training, which you may not have gotten to as yet, Rinku, let me just see if I can find it. Okay, so in the mapping area, there's this business review implementation guide. Okay,
it's in mapping.
So this steps out all of this. This will take you step by step into how to prepare for the workshop, how to run the workshop, and then roughly how long to spend in each area. Okay. Mm. And then afterwards, the post-workshop follow-up. So what happens was, so initially, so we obviously set the time. I sent them a questionnaire, I sent them a questionnaire to complete. I also requested a set of financials. In this case, I just got access to their Xero. Then I reviewed the questionnaire, I analyzed their numbers, I exported out of Excel, as I said, I moved some expenses into cost of sales just so I can do that type of analysis. When you watch the training on this, I go through some examples, Rinku. Mm. Then I prepared some blank templates that we could work through and take notes. Then I ran the workshop. Now, in this case, I didn't actually complete this one-page plan in the workshop. because I spent more of my time understanding the business, discussing the financials with them, discussing assumptions, and then I did this after the workshop. Okay. And I also built this after the workshop. Okay. Normally, I wouldn't do this after the workshop. I'd try to do this sort of thing. I wouldn't go to this sort of level of detail, and I'd do some financial analysis and modeling within the workshop. But I generally always complete this after the workshop. Now, when I spoke with Alex last week, because he already understands, he's doing this similar exercise with an existing client. Because he already understands the business, he already understands the numbers, he will be able to complete this during the workshop, okay, and therefore save time after the workshop. And then you have a follow-up meeting to go through, like, then I send this to them. So I've sent this to them, I've sent this to them, and I've sent some comments about their marketing as well, because I did some marketing analysis, just their numbers. And then I've got a meeting with them next Tuesday, which we will discuss this to wrap up and to, I suppose, to finalize and adjust this plan. But then for me, my purpose is then to also talk to them about what we can, what support they need going forwards. All right. So that follow-up meeting, which is in
February, sometimes in February, it's like.
Which is in here. This follow-up meeting is really post-follow workshop follow-up. Yeah, this meeting here, discuss next steps, gauge interest in regular meetings to review financials and support implementation of the plan, and then provide a proposal for that. Okay, so that meeting is to help finalize the plan, but the other purpose of it is to discuss future support. Okay, that's the way I am doing things. That's the way I'm sharing with all of you.
Yeah.